Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Big Questions, Small Steps. My name is Amanda, and I'm so glad that you could join me today. Today, we are going to continue learning about the United Church of Christ, or the UCC, and what makes them unique from other Christian denominations. Now, so far, we've talked about their history, how they came to be. We've talked about their beliefs, and we even talked about how they organize and are in relation with other denominations compared to others. Today, we are going to take a look at one of their main focuses. We're going to look at social justice, how they look at social situations, and how they put that into practice within their beliefs. So, if you're ready, let's hit the intro and we'll begin. So as I stated earlier, the United Church of Christ is very focused on being the united and uniting church, looking more at the similarities about people and their beliefs than their differences. Even amongst denominations, they look for similarities more than they do differences. One way that the United Church of Christ in particular tries to speak up or show up for members of the community is through their social justice outreach activities. So social justice is a big thing in the United Church of Christ. This can come across in multiple different ways. It can be mission work. It can be outreach activities. It can be learning sessions. It depends on your particular church and their activity level. In the church that I was a part of, we tended to do more outreach activities. We would go feed the homeless. We would go clean up the parks. We would do mission trips where we would take groups of kids to a different place and we would do service activities, whether it was building houses or cleaning up parks, or we even painted some things. It's different opportunities to work and be, as they refer to it, God's hands and feet in the world today. How can you be of service? How can you use the gifts that you have that were given to you by God for the betterment of the world? Okay, so that's something that they focus very heavily on. And again, every church has different ones, but the United Church of Christ is very big in social justice overall. And this began from its very beginning. Way back in 1959, in the racial riots, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. actually requested that the UCC churches come help him during one of the television stations in the southern part of the United States. They were imposing news blackouts where they wouldn't share information regarding the civil rights movement, and the UCC churches showed up in force to help support that movement. And the United Church of Christ even went and put lawsuits against major television companies and won those as segregation attempts, and the freedom of press was used to get those to get those lawsuits won on their behalf. So they didn't shy away from those opportunities, but there is also that individuality within each church, and certainly some that are more rural tend to do less social outreach that may be a little bit more controversial just because they seem to be more sheltered. I remember in my small town when we went to feed the homeless in Milwaukee for the first time, I remember some people being hesitant because they didn't know what to expect. It was more of not necessarily I'm afraid of the people there. It's I'm afraid because I don't know what's going to happen. And that's just where they were. So in the church that I was a part of, we made a conscious effort to consistently go across boundaries, to get out of that small town, to broaden people's minds and experiences to the world in ways that we can help in different ways and in different situations. So very, very socially justice focused. So we certainly did that. Another thing that they will focus on is the abortion rights. They have been strong supporters of a person's right to choose. Certainly they don't want anyone to die, but at the same time, their stance is if a person feels like they have no other options and that is the best choice for them, it is not their place to judge them for that choice that they're making in that moment. That's the UCC stance on it. They have been at Planned Parenthood sites, and they have been patient escorts. They will do different things to make the person feel seen and heard and not ashamed of what their choice is. They're not there to judge. They're just there to support and show love as God showed love through Jesus' death on the cross. That's what they do. Another way they do a lot of social justice work is for the migrant farmers, people who will come up from Mexico, El Salvador, Venezuela, things like that, and work on farms, particularly with the United Farm Workers. They work to make sure that they have adequate food and housing when they're doing this work, that they're paid a reasonable wage for their efforts. And really somebody is speaking out for them. They understand that they are not necessarily legally immigrants here, but they are here on a worker's visa and they deserve to be taken care of. And whether they're here for the long term or the short term, again, people are people and they deserve God's love. So that's what the United Church of Christ people will do for them. Another thing that they will do is they will fight particularly for social justice reform within the prison setting. So there was a group known as the Wilmington 10, and essentially it was a group of 10 men and women who were wrongly convicted about an arson and conspiracy. They served almost a decade, and they were sentenced in 1971. And the United Church of Christ, depending on where your church is and what it's nearest, if you are near a prison, sometimes they will have social justice outreach, and there might be lawyers that they would assist with wrongful convictions. They may do Bible studies to provide some kind of skills or skill sets to the people who are inmates, and help them see that they're more than just their situation. Again, that they are a person who is loved by God and that God can still use them and God still loves them. They are more than their best or worst day. So just trying to help remind people that they are human. Being that social justice motion is a huge thing. The most recent event that has happened in the United Church of Christ is the acceptance of same-sex marriage in the LGBTQ community as a whole. So in 2005, at a conference meeting, 80% of all United Church of Christ churches accepted homosexual couples, that they could be members and they would have equal rights of everybody else. They didn't see anything wrong with it. And they said, regardless of your gender, marriage is marriage and love is love, and whoever you love is loved and welcomed here. Now, that's not to say that if you are making out with your spouse in the pews during church that they aren't going to say something. But they would, whether you are a male-female couple or a female-female couple or a male-male couple. It doesn't matter who you are or who you love. They want to make sure that people are seen and people are heard. They have been active with the LGBTQ community and their civil rights movement since 1969. They were actually the United Church of Christ was the first to have an openly gay leader ordained, and that was in 1972. Of all the Christian denominations, United Church of Christ was the first to have an ordained gay leader. They were also the first to have an ordained female leader. The female leader was first ordained in 1853. Yes, so definitely the United Church of Christ has always been pushing the boundaries as far as what is accepted and making sure that everyone feels seen and heard and appreciated, focusing more on that similarities than the differences. As far as females in the United Church of Christ, a female can do anything she wants. She can be a teacher, she can be a pastor, she can be an usher, she can be a security officer. She can do whatever she wants. As long as the church supports her in that role and she is doing a satisfactory job according to the church, she can do whatever she wants. The church does have this this safeguard. What do they call it? I believe they call it a Good Shepherd guide. And basically what it is with the children of the church, particularly during Sunday school. They started this after there was that, there were a bunch of priests that were accused of doing incorrect things with children. And it was a safe sanctuary policy. That's what it was. And basically what it says is that no child should ever be alone in a room with an adult. So all of the classroom windows, classrooms either have a window where anyone can walk by at any time, or if you are the only teacher with an only student, you need to have the door open, but you should also make every effort to be in a place where it's more public. So if I was in a class and only one person showed up, instead of having class in a classroom, we would likely move our class into a more open space, just for protection of the child and myself. That's just another policy that they have. They are very careful about the vulnerable within the community. So whether they are a minority, whether they are a minor, whether they are taken advantage of very easily. So the disabled as well. Homeless are a big deal in the United Church of Christ, but children in particular are very safeguarded, and they want to do everything they can to make sure that they are as safe as possible. That's just what they do. That's what they do. So speaking of what they do, the next time we get together, we are going to be talking about the holidays and how they celebrate the holidays in the United Church of Christ. Now keep in mind that every church is different and every church has its own individuality in how they celebrate it. So a lot of what I'm going to share next time is going to be about my particular experiences and what that was like, having all those different holidays growing up. So I hope you enjoyed today's presentation. I am grateful for your time and attention. Please give this video a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. And until next time, please take care. Remember, the more you know, the more you grow. Be well.